All right, so we just heard from who I consider to be like Mr. Armenia. So Goddard and I, we grew up, this is my talk, I just started. Let's see. So Goddard and I grew up in the same area, we went to the same church, we're the same age, and we didn't meet until about a decade ago in New York City. And the first thing he said to me is, "Who are you? Where did you come from?" Because it was like him and his close friends who had been doing all these Armenian things together, and here I was in like my mid-20s, and he had never heard of me. So who are you? And so it's strange, 10 years later, I put on this event, and I want to share with you how I got to this point, and perhaps you'll glean something interesting, and then we'll get to what I'm most passionate about, which is my research around the network state and what the hell is that. So I grew up in New Jersey, and I was an Armenian American, but I didn't necessarily know what that meant. I had experiences of like family relations, and there was an overwhelming amount of genocide programming, which I found both very repulsive and I internalized. So I thought as a child and a young adult a lot about how on earth can some people be on a certain plot of land for thousands of years and then overnight be pushed out and killed, and what kind of system can allow for that? And it informed my political views, it informed my career, and I went into public health with the desire to address all the terrible things that can happen in genocide and related genocide. But what I did not do, I was not active in the Armenian community. So if he's Mr. Armenian, I was not really interested in it. And it wasn't until I went on a trip that was sponsored by the church as a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, which was like a few weeks or maybe a month before I met Godin, that I experienced what it meant to be Armenian in a frame that was not genocide at all. Jerusalem experience was like history, and I was very prideful of it, and I had an amazing experience, and I wanted more. And that led to, this exploration of building out my personal network, making friends, ultimately marrying an Armenian woman and having Armenian kids, and wanting to create an Armenian community here in the Upper Cumberland region of Tennessee. That project is called the Hyeland Project, as you all know by now. So I mentioned, right, this idea of like my concern about how a system can turn on its people and kill them and all that. And so there was a group of people that were like also concerned about them. They were like these techno-libertarian folks. And so in my formative years, I was on the internet a lot, and I was meeting these like anti-authoritarian people, and they so happened to be creating this thing called Bitcoin. And I was like blown away. I'm like, okay, if my ancestors crossed the desert with their Bitcoin in their brain, because you can do that, you can save the Bitcoin in your brain, memorize the seed, they would have started not from zero, but from at 80% or 70% or whatever it may be. So I found that a very provocative idea. And this was like 2011, 2012, I was thinking these things. And then around 2014, and again, I was not part of the Armenian tribe at this point, really. I mean, my name was, but I was part of this techno-libertarian tribe. And I was going to their events, and I started having these ideas that, okay, if Bitcoin is so what is Bitcoin as a technology? You can argue about it, but as a fundamental thing, what it is, it's a coordination system for a bunch of strangers in a bunch of different countries who don't speak to each other to somehow work together and collaborate to provide network security for a cryptographic like a currency network. So if they could, these people would cheat each other. If they could, they would rob the network, but they can't. It's called a trustless system. And their only focus on coordination is this, network security. And people, including myself, are thinking, well, what if we take those ideas and say, well, first off, who else has trust issues? Armenians do, right? I ask my dad for advice sometimes. He said, don't trust anyone, including me. What kind of advice is this? It's real, that is what it is. And we have trust issues, and yet there's these group of people, these techno-libertarians, that are like hyper-individualistic, often hyper-autistic. They don't have communities, they're not good at building communities, but they're building technology to solve community problems. and they're like hitting their head against the wall because they're building really cool technology, but they don't have communities, and they're trying to build communities and it's not really going well. And meanwhile, I'm here looking at like, oh, look at these Armenian problems, look at this well-defined community, look at these coordination issues, and here's the technology. And so my whole thing has been, I want to meld the two. It's like my two tribes are actually merging together, and it excites me greatly. And so what is a network state? It's basically saying, what if we use this technology that's being pioneered and it more or less functions today, and we could make this work if we had the right motivation. What if instead of coordinating on network security, we coordinated on physical security, or social security, or medical security, or cultural security, or not even security at all? Maybe we want to coordinate in other ways. And we can do so in a way without giving up autonomy, without losing control, with having a tremendous amount of voice in determining how things play out, and having the ability to exit. And to exit means to leave the network without everything falling apart. And so I don't have enough time to get into details of why I think we're such a good pairing for it. I wrote like a 36-page white paper this past year about it. It's about the architecture of such a network state. But with my last 2 minutes, I want to like lay out my vision. So part of the vision is this event, networking, because we already have the components of a network state. Many of you are in organizations that are components of the network state. You are going to be service providers that will be serving these future entities. And what I hope to accomplish, me personally, not necessarily the Hyeland project, but I hope the Hyeland project is a magnet for people that want to share my vision, that we will build a greenfield community, and it will be called a network community here in Tennessee, and we will be the vanguard that uses this technology. So this community that we create, let's say it's Norani, like the guy on Friday's event, the serial...
Boskanya.
Yeah, Boskanya, the guy who, he was way too early, so let's say it's Norani. Essentially, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe what this thing is, and the closest thing I can describe is like an HOA, but instead of it being an HOA fee, you're being paid a dividend based on your how much you've invested in it, so your percentage ownership of the town, and obviously the revenue that is produced. So, you know, I say to you, well, let's build a hotel in this town. We're going to raise money, and then we're going to lease it out, and it's making money for our town. So, you know, you go from the paradigm of, you know, you're a resident in your town and you're being taxed to being you're now the owner in your town. And the provocative title of my paper is "You Will Own Everything and Be Free," which is obviously the exact opposite of the WEF, World Economic Forum, who may or may not be good guys and possibly be bad guys, and they are "You will own nothing and be happy." So forget that. I don't like that. I like property rights. I want to own stuff, and I want to own my community, and I hope you all do too. And yeah, this is hopefully will become my life's work, and I hit my 8 minutes. So thank you.